Hello everyone, my name is Josh Gilliland, attorney blogger for Bowtie Law. Today I invited Drew Lewis, who is eDiscovery counsel at Recommind, to share his views on what are the greatest challenges for attorneys in the future. Drew, how are you today?
Doing wonderful, Josh. Great to see you again.
You do.
Well, you know, the challenges issue, Josh, I think it's really twofold here. I think there's the in-house counsel challenge and then there's the outside counsel challenge. And so taking them one at a time, I think with the in-house counsel, it's cliche, but, you know, I think the bottom line is the biggest challenge they face, all the survey data shows, is doing more with less, or as I'll say a lot of times, doing even more with even less. The budgetary resources are always tight. Now they're even tighter. Regulatory litigation's up, employment litigation's up. It's just a tremendous time of challenge for the in-house attorneys. So I think that's their challenge. The outside counsel, it's related because certainly they have to provide those legal services at a lower cost so that their in-house counterparts can meet their challenge. But for me, I think that their primary challenge is really it's remaining relevant in a time of increasing upheaval. There's a lot of different ways to buy legal services now. You don't just have to go to a big law firm and stick all your business in one place. How do these law firms, manage to stay relevant, to get the market share that they're looking for? And I think that whenever we look there, you've got to change your approach to how you deliver legal services. It's not just enough to do it the way that you always did, and hey, we'll do good work and the clients will come to us. You've got to really give them something extra. You've got to, figure out new ways to reach them. And it's really putting the outside lawyer in an interesting position. For those that are kind of willing to embrace it, it's a time of tremendous opportunity. For those that are, a little bit slower to adopt, or evolve over time, I think they really face a tremendous challenge of even staying in business to a certain extent because the market's just changed and it's not going back to the way it was in 2006. Those days are over and we've entered kind of a new era for the practice of law. And one of the topics that y'all frequently address there is it's the industrialization of law. That's happening already. It's going to continue to happen. Law firms will start to look more like manufacturing plants once they embrace the idea that in the great majority of legal work, they aren't just making a widget. It's a very specialized widget, and it's not a physical one. It's more of an intellectual widget, but it's still a widget. And I think kind of moving towards that and saying, look, if we're not doing a bet the company case, then we've really got to approach it differently. We need to build an assembly line. You install the headlights, I'll install the seats, and we're not going to kind of have the traditional approach where I try to do everything and you try to do everything as well.
Wow, fascinating and very thoughtful. How are you and the team at Recommind preparing for the future to help attorneys?
Sure. From the in-house counsel's perspective of doing more with even less, I mean, that's a very simple way of understanding our solutions. We reduce data volumes. We reduce the documents that are subject to review. We help you do more with less all the time in the kind of the early case assessment phase, the review and analysis phase. But I think with both the in-house counsel and the outside counsel, where we help in that differentiating point there, helping them provide better legal services, to me, the real beauty of our technology, reduction of data volume is great. It's a laudable goal. I had a lot of clients in my days of private practice who had their own strategies for reducing the data that was subject to review, and some of them just said, hey, we're not going to review that. I'm not going to collect all the email. You're not going to review it all, and problem solved. I think that our technology is well positioned and where we're looking at for 2013, 14, and beyond is helping you find the information that you need now, as opposed to the traditional discovery process. You may not find what you really need until day 30, day 60, day 90. We want to empower lawyers to find what they need now to be able to deliver better legal services. And it really fits with the overall idea of this isn't about replacing attorneys. The software can't practice law. You and I have discussed this before. But what it can do is it can empower attorneys. It can expand their abilities to practice law in a way they've never really practiced before. And as we move forward with a new user interface and kind of an overhaul of the underlying architecture of our technology, you're going to be able to interact with data in the context of a legal event in a way that you've never really been able to before. And I think that's going to be something that's really exciting to help those lawyers who embrace the idea of technology helping them to provide better legal services, they're going to really recognize the difference in how they practice, what their clients get, and their clients are going to be much more satisfied as well, because it's going to bring the cost down, so job number one is met, but it's going to be even higher quality than they were ever really used to in the past.
How can attorneys and lit support managers learn more about the solutions that you have from Recommind?
Sure. The best place to start is with our corporate homepage, just www.recommind.com. You can also check us out on YouTube. We have our own channel there. Follow me on Twitter at WMDrewLewis. I try to do all things kind of in the industry, but we certainly have a lot of updates about what we're doing, what's our vision for the company. And you can also just follow the company on Twitter as well, at Recommind is the Twitter handle there. Those are the best ways to kind of get a big overview. But again, always, connect with me on Twitter. We're happy to set up an in-person meeting, a go-to-meeting, whatever works best so you can learn more about it. That's really my job. Is spent 50% of my time is spent consulting with existing clients. The other half is spent, traveling around, doing webinars, doing events like this. We're just raising awareness of the technology in general. So I am probably one of the best people to reach out to as a starting point, at least.
And all that, will you be at ILTA next week, and so people can talk to you there?
Absolutely, yeah. We will be at ILTA next week, booth 517. Please do. We've got a couple of great giveaways. Got to register for enter into a drawing to win an iPad Mini or a trip for two to Napa, which unfortunately is not available to company employees. So I won't win that one. But I wish that I could. But do stop by 517. Would love to talk, show off some of the new things we're doing with our technology right now. And again, to have this discussion about where we're going in 2014 and beyond, because it's a very exciting time. The technology, the underlying technology has really been perfected in the legal discovery context. And now we're really starting to kind of unleash that power and do what the system was really originally intended to do. We finally just got to the point where now we can really unlock it and go beyond kind of just mere predictive coding and do something entirely different that people just aren't really used to seeing yet in the legal search space.
Nice. Well, being a geek and enjoying a good geek question, who is your favorite comic book superhero and why?
All right. I'm gonna cheat a little bit on this one here. Now, I will say as the intro there, anything that's DC, I'm a DC guy, not a Marvel guy whenever we talk about superheroes. I've always enjoyed Batman as kind of my staple go-to superhero. And the reason I say I'm going to cheat, I'm actually going to use one of the main things that's really brought me back to it has been the Christopher Nolan new finish on it. I think that it really got back to what the story was supposed to be, this very conflicted character of, you really shouldn't root for the guy because he's the vigilante taking the law into his own hands, but at the same time you understand the impetus, what's driving him towards that. My oldest has actually gotten into digital comic books, which I love this. Comics on the iPad now, so no longer do we have the nice paper there to hold on to, but he's really gotten into it. And Batman presents a really interesting character study, even for children to identify with, because you get to have this great, is he a hero or is he something else? And I could not be a bigger fan of what Chris Nolan did with the reboot. I think those three movies are right up there with the original three Star Wars movies for my trilogies of all time. I think that's one of the better trilogies I can remember of recently, at least.
Yeah, after one of the most interesting stories that I thought that they did in the comics was after Final Crisis, which was horrifically complicated. It ends with what looks like the death of Bruce Wayne, and they had Battle for the Cowl, and we had those who had been Robin, because there had been multiple Robins, and others fighting on who would be the next Batman to take up the mantle. And Nightwing, who had been the original Robin, ends up taking it up. And the stories followed from that were very well done. And then it entered Batman Inc. with the return of Bruce Wayne. It was fun. They did a really nice job, and it showed the difference between Wayne's Batman and Burt Ward's Batman.
Right.
And how the police were more comfortable with the second Batman as opposed to the first.
Right. Well, and that's I'm actually interested to see if they really do a next installment of at least somebody picks up the Chris Nolan line and carries it. I know he says he won't do it, which if he's out there, anybody sends us, please do another one because they are just that good. I think that he's an amazing storyteller anyway. I'm a huge fan of Memento. It was one of my favorite movies, and I thought whenever I heard that he was doing it, I was like, this is going to be a different experience because this is somebody who really understands the character-driven narrative, and it comes through. My wife, I got her to watch Batman Begins, and she was like, oh, yeah, it's an action movie. I said, no, it's really not an action movie. It's something deeper, and she wound up loving it. So it's one of those ones too that kind of transcends the action genre a little bit.
We'll see how they do with the Superman, Batman movie that will come out in a couple years to see how they spin that and what they do. And we can analyze the eDiscovery issues from there as well. So
that's right.
Plenty of cybersecurity in the Dark Knight. So.
That's right.
Very good. Well, Drew, have a wonderful weekend and a great time at ILTA, and I look forward to seeing you in the near future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Josh. I appreciate it.
You take care, Drew.
You too.